it's Alice, and I know it's a little bit early, but September is just like a little over a week away, and so I wanted to share my autumn TBR with you all. I'm sure most of you know that fall is my very favorite season, and I just get really excited about reading this time of year because I just feel like there's something really special about it. Like, I love how the weather cools down, and I love that it gets darker, and it's just really cozy. It's actually starting to feel a little bit like fall here already. Like, it's cooled down quite a lot and the leaves are just about to turn, and I have pulled out all of my sweaters and scarves and boots, and I am ready, let me tell you. Anyways, I've picked out a bunch of books from my shelves that I really want to try to get to in the next couple of months, and the first one is a book I've actually been saying that I'm gonna read for the past like 3 years, but I still haven't, and maybe now's the time. It's Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and this is, as I'm sure most of you know, a classic, and the story is about this woman who is swept off her feet by this widower, and she can't believe her luck, and they get like married, and they go to his manor house, and it seems like the ghost of his late wife throws a shadow over their entire marriage and sort of threatens to mess everything up. It's been a while since I really dove into a classic, and I kind of want to get back into reading them, and so I thought this might be a good book to do that with. It's gothic, which I love, and du Maurier is really good with atmosphere, which is one of my favorite things in books, and so I really want to try and actually get to this now. The second one I've picked out is something completely different, and it is The King of Crows by Libba Bray. This is the fourth and final book in the Diviners series, the first book being The Diviners, and this is like a YA fantasy series set in New York in the 1920s, and we follow a bunch of young people who all have supernatural abilities, and in this book they come up against their biggest threat yet. To be totally honest, it's been a while since I read the third book, and so I can't completely remember what happened in that. Like, I can remember parts of it, but hopefully I'll just be able to start this and get back into it. And, you know, good thing about having Google is that I can just look it up if I get confused. Then we've got a book that I am very excited about, and I absolutely have to read when it's fall. I just have to, and it is The Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. This is the prequel to Practical Magic, which I read last fall and I really enjoyed, and I remember saying in my review that I would have loved to know more about the ants in that book, and that's what this one is about. All I really know is that it's about them and that it's set in New York in the 60s, I think. I got such a nostalgic feeling from reading the first book, and I do love books about witches, and especially witches when it's set in like our world and not off in some fantasy world, and so I'm really excited about this. I do realize witches for fall is not groundbreaking, but you know, it is what it is. Next, we've got a book that I keep getting recommended, and it is Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. And this is a mystery novel, and it's about this editor who has just gotten her latest manuscript from one of her authors, who is like a best-selling crime author, and she assumes that this is going to be like all the other stuff that she's gotten from him, and she starts reading it, expecting it to be a new bestseller. And then she gets into it and she realizes that there's something different about the script and that it feels a little bit too real somehow. I feel like I'm reading a lot of mystery series at the moment. Like, I have a lot of them on the go, and I have a lot of ones that I've started on my shelves and I haven't finished yet, and so maybe I shouldn't be starting a new one, but I just want to. Like, everyone keeps mentioning this book to me and it sounds amazing, so I think I want to start it. And I also really like this edition, by the way. Like, every time I see it on my shelves, I'm like, I need to read that. Next, we have got a short story collection, because it's been a while since I read one of those, and it is Things We Say in the Dark by Kirsty Logan. This will actually be my fourth book by this author. She also wrote The Grace Keepers, which I loved, and then I've read some of her other short story collections, and I just feel like this is going to be great for fall because it's horror, and it says that it's like a collection of really dark stories, and there's some fairy tale stuff in here and some supernatural stuff, which sounds amazing. I also really want to get to The Eight by Catherine Neville, and this is also a mystery book, but it's with quite a lot of adventure in it, I think. It's about this computer expert who is sent off to do a job in Algeria, and I think she's trying to find this missing chess set. And apparently there's something like weird about this set because it makes whoever plays with it too powerful or something. I think this is one of those books that has like dual timelines. So one is set in like more current day and then one is historical, and we get to learn about this chess set, I think. I don't really know, I just got this recommended to me and it just sounds right up my alley. Then we have got a book that I am very excited for, and it is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And since The Secret History is one of my favorite books, people keep telling me that I need to read this one as well, which makes me very intrigued. It starts off with this man who is being let out of prison after spending 10 years there for murder. And when he gets out, the detective who put him there meets him like the day he gets out because he wants to know what actually happened all those years ago. Then I think we sort of go back in time and we get to know this group of like actors who are studying Shakespeare at this elite college, and I think one of their group dies or is murdered, probably. I really want to read more books with academic settings, and so this sounds great. And I also think most of it takes place in the 90s, which I love, and I'm looking forward to some great atmosphere, and I have kind of high expectations, not gonna lie. Up next, we have a historical fiction novel, and it is Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. And this is also a little bit of a mystery, I think, but it also has some like supernatural or fantasy elements to it, which is exciting. It's set in Victorian London, and we meet this female detective who gets this puzzling case where she needs to find the child of some upper class dude, and it's rumored that this child has some sort of abilities. I do love London as a setting, and Victorian London is especially great, and this just sounds like an adventure of a book, and that it's gonna be a little bit gothic as well, which is great. Then we have got a Ruth Ware novel, and it is The Death of Mrs. Westaway, and there's just something about this author that keeps like intriguing me. Like all of her books just sound so good, and I keep reading them, even though I know they're kind of like hit or miss for me. Hopefully this is gonna be really good. It's about this woman who receives a letter saying that she has come into this inheritance, and she realizes that the letter is not actually meant for her, but she decides to go and try to get the money anyway because why not, I guess? And then she gets there and realizes that there's definitely something wrong with this whole situation. My hope for this is that it's gonna be on the same level as The Turn of the Key for me, because that's my favorite Ruth Ware so far, and I have high hopes, but we'll see. I'll just have to read it to find out. Second to last, we have got The Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis, and no, I haven't actually watched the show yet. I know everyone watched it last year, but I just never got around to it, and it felt to me like a very fall appropriate show, and so I figured I would just watch it this year instead. Now that I've got the book though, I want to read the book first and then watch the series, and I'm actually thinking of doing like a vlog about it, like a kind of book versus series thing, so let me know if you'd be interested in that, although I'm probably just gonna do it anyway, to be honest. The story in here is about Beth, who is sent to an orphanage at the age of 8, I think, and she turns out to be this chess prodigy, which allows her to sort of forge this new life for herself. But then I think she's also a drug addict and kind of self-destructive, which sounds very interesting, and I'll be very interested to see how this compares to the series. Lastly, we have got another classic, and it is Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. This is about this young woman who is at a Halloween party, and she boasts about the fact that she once witnessed a murder, and then no one believes her, and so she gets angry and she storms off and she goes home, and then a few hours later she is found dead. Now this is a Poirot mystery, so I'm assuming that him and his wonderful brain will swoop in and solve the case. The plan is to read this around Halloween because obviously, and I feel like this is going to be the perfect Halloween book for me because it's probably not going to be like super scary. I can't deal with really scary things, it's mostly just gonna be spooky, I'm assuming, because Poirot is never really that scary. He's only scary smart. Okay everyone, those are all the books that I had to show you today, and I would love to know which ones of these you'd be most interested in seeing me reading, and I would also love to know what books are on your autumn TBR if you've made one yet. As usual, links to my Patreon and other social media will be in the description if you're interested, and I will see you soon. Bye!